Here are two numbers that don't get along. Health life expectancy in America, 66, and full retirement age, 67. Working one more year feels like the responsible thing to do, but nobody ever shows you the invoice. So in the next few minutes, I'll show you the 5 costs of working too long, including the one more year math that almost nobody actually runs before they decide. And stick around for cost number 4. It's a use it or lose it tax window that opens the day you retire. And every extra year you work deletes one of the cheapest years inside it. Most people discover it years too late, and I'll show you exactly how it works. In our planning meetings, there's a phrase we hear constantly from people who, by any reasonable measure, have already won the game. And that is maybe just one more year. And quite frankly, I get it. The paycheck feels safe. Retirement feels like a leap. One more year feels like the choice a careful person makes. Hi, I'm Mark Fonville, certified financial planner at Covenant Wealth Advisors in Richmond, Virginia. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 costs of working longer than you need to. And then, because this is not an anti-work video, the 3 situations where one more year really is the right call. So let's start with the cost you can't measure in dollars. It's the one people tell us they regret. If you're 65 today, the actuarial tables give you about 20 more years. That sounds like plenty of time, but here's the number that changes the conversation just a little bit. On average, only about 12 to 14 of those years are actually healthy ones. The years where you hike the national park instead of looking at pictures of it. Financial planners call this the go-go, slow-go, and no-go phases of retirement. Even here at Covenant, we're guilty of using those terms. The travel happens early. The energy happens early. Government spending data backs this up. Transportation and travel spending drops hard at 75. So when you work one more year at 64, you're not trading a year of work for a year of retirement. You're trading a go-go year, the scarcest asset you own, for the most replaceable thing you own, another year of salary. And be honest about the other side of that trade. However essential you feel right now, the company will be fine without you. There's an old saying, the cemetery is full of irreplaceable people. The projects get handed off, the office gets reassigned, the machine just keeps running, usually within weeks. The people who love you are the only ones who can't replace you. We hear versions of the same story all the time. Someone works into their 70s, the money was great, and they'd hand a chunk of it back tomorrow to get their early 60s again. And here's the part that really stings. You may not even get to pick your date. Year after year, researchers find nearly half of retirees left the workforce earlier than they planned. Most often because of health or a layoff or caring for someone they love. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That's exactly why I keep working. The paycheck is real money. And that's certainly fair, but let's look at what that paycheck is actually worth because it's less than you think. So let me show you with a hypothetical couple. And now this is a hypothetical example for illustration only, not actual client results. John and Lisa, both 63, they've saved $2.5 million and together they earn $300,000 a year. Every extra dollar John and Lisa earn gets taxed at about 24 cents federal plus Medicare payroll tax, plus 5.75 cents to Virginia. Call it roughly 32 cents on each additional dollar before Social Security tax on top. All in, they're spending north of $68,000 a year to the government on their entire gross income. Your state income tax, of course, may be different than here in Virginia. Now, run the retired version. Same couple at 65, drawing $150,000 a year from their IRAs. Standard deduction, the extra deduction for being 65, plus the new senior deduction, which is $6,000 per person that Congress created in 2025. Their federal bill lands around $12,000. No payroll tax at all. Their average dollar is taxed at about 13 cents all in, quite a bit lower than in the first scenario. And notice something about that $12,000 senior deduction. Keep working at that income past 65 and it's completely phased out. It disappears entirely above $250,000 for a couple. They'd get zero. Retired at $150,000, they get all of it. Working literally costs them a deduction, and it's only on the books through 2028. Then there's the cost of just showing up. The IRS says driving costs 76 cents a mile now. So a 30-mile round trip commute is about $5,700 a year in car costs alone. Add the lunches, wardrobe, the coffee habit. The government literally keeps score of what your commute costs. Most of us just never look to think about it. So quick aside, by the way, if you're wondering whether your numbers say you're ready, that's exactly what our free retirement readiness checklist walks through step by step. So just type checklist in the comments and I'll send you a link to download them for free. But keep going with me because the next cost is the one that surprised even me. So the real question was never, can I afford to stop working? The real question is, what does one more year actually buy you? A group of researchers actually measured it. A team of economists, including one of Stanford's most respected retirement researchers, published a study through the National Bureau of Economic Research called The Power of Working Longer. Their headline finding, working just 3 to 6 more months boosts your retirement income as much as saving an extra just 1% of your salary for 30 years. So it sounds like the strongest argument for working longer ever written, and it's not. Here's why. When they broke down where the benefit came from for a 66-year-old, one more year of work raised retirement income about 7.75%. But 83% of that actually came from claiming Social Security 1 year later. Not from the salary, not from the extra 401k contributions, but from the delay. And here's the part so many retirees miss, at least in my experience. You don't have to keep working to delay your claim. You can retire at 64, live on your portfolio, and let your Social Security benefit grow 8% a year until 70. A benefit that can reach about $5,181 a month in 2026 for high income earners. Delaying the claim is often smart. Delaying your life to do it, that's the confusion this whole video exists to clear up. One more wrinkle from that same study, by the way, the benefit of working longer is weakest for high savers because the more you've saved, the more your retirement income comes from your portfolio, not your paycheck. And if your plan already shows a 90+% chance of success through stress testing, one more year of work barely moves that number. In many cases, it's medicine for a patient who isn't sick. And by the way, if you haven't stress tested your plan, you absolutely should. So be honest with me. Are you team one more year or team enough is enough? Put your camp in the comments and tell us why. And keep watching because the next cost is the one you can never undo. There's no form to file, no appeal, no do-over. Once those years are gone, they're gone forever. So remember that use it or lose it text window from the top of the video? Well, here it is. The day you retire, something quietly changes on your tax return. For the first time in decades, you control your own income. No salary filling up the brackets, just whatever you choose to take out when you choose to take it. That opens what we call the conversion window, the years between your retirement date and the day required minimum distributions kick in, age 73 or 75 if you were born in 1960 or later. Those in-between years are the cheapest tax real estate you'll ever own. You can move your money from your traditional IRA away into a Roth at 10, 12, 22 cents on the dollar. Money that would otherwise sit and compound for a decade and then come out at a much higher rate, potentially, whether you need it or not. Now, watch what working longer does to it. If John and Lisa retire at 63, they get about 12 low tax years before their required withdrawals begin at 75. Work to 67 instead, and the window shrinks to just 8. And here's the part that hurts. The years they give up were the cheapest ones because any conversion they tried while still working would have stacked on top of $300,000 salary and been taxed at 24% or more instead of 12 or 22%. By the way, if digging up the actual numbers behind decisions like this is what you want more of, go ahead, subscribe. We do this every week. So working one more year doesn't just cost you that year's tax. It deletes a cheap tax year off the front of the window. And unlike almost anything else in the tax code, there's no form you can file later to get it back. When the window closes, it closes. But the strangest cost of all is the last one. We see it in real portfolios every single week. The money you're working so hard to add is money you will probably just never spend. When researchers track what retirees actually spend, not what they fear they'll spend, they find the same shape over and over. Spending falls as you age. In real terms, retiree spending drops roughly 1% a year through the 70s. A household spending $100,000 at 60 is typically spending about $74,000 in today's dollars by age 84. And JP Morgan looked at the actual bank data of millions of households and found the same thing. Average spending of about $75,600 at ages 60 to 64, down to about $51,900 by 90 to 94. Now, those are averages. Long-term care can hit hard late in life, and a real plan accounts for that. But here's the point. When you work one more year to be safe, you're often funding a version of retirement flat spending forever that real retirees simply don't live. The extra money doesn't buy extra life. For a lot of people, it just changes the size of the estate their kids inherit. So here's your next step. Grab the retirement readiness checklist. It's the same set of questions we walk through when someone sits down and asks us, is it time? It's free. It comes with the other 15 checklists we use with clients on taxes and Social Security withdrawals, all of it, and just type checklist in the comments to get it and we'll send it over to you. Therefore, the obvious question, by the way, if the costs are this real, why would we ever tell someone to work one more year? Because sometimes it's exactly the right call. And here are 3 signs that you need to know. So sign number 1, your plan is actually short. If a careful projection puts your odds of success below 85%, one more year is powerful medicine. That research math cuts hardest in your favor when Social Security will be a big share of your income. For an underfunded plan, one more year can genuinely change the outcome. Sign number 2 is health insurance. If you're under 65, coverage is the honest reason to stay. As of mid-2026, the enhanced marketplace subsidies have expired and the income cliff is back. In unsubsidized 60-year-old can pay around $1,244 a month for a benchmark plan. If your job covers you or a younger spouse, that benefit can be worth more than the salary. And this is a spreadsheet decision, not a feelings decision, so make sure you run it before you walk. And sign number 3, you have nothing to retire into. And I mean this seriously. The research here is very honest. It cuts both ways. People who retire from a full throttle career into nothing show measurable declines in mobility and mental health. Roughly 1 in 4 retirees goes through a real dip in that first year. The pattern in the data is clear. The retirement date doesn't determine your health. What you retire into does. Purpose, people, and a reason to get up. Now, 2 practical notes on that. A part-time or phased exit measurably softens the landing. The same research shows it. And give yourself grace on the clock. Talk to people who've retired from high pressure careers, and most will tell you it took months, sometimes a year or two to fully unwind. And that's normal. It's recovery, not regret. And if your work genuinely is your purpose, if you do it for free, then keep going. That's not working too long. That's just winning. Keep it up. So the 5 real costs of working too long are the healthy years you can't buy back, the paycheck that's worth a lot less than it looks after tax, the 1 more year math where most of the gain never required the job, the tax window that closes a year at a time, and the money you'll probably never spend. So those 2 numbers from the beginning, by the way, 66 and 67, they still don't get along. You can always make more money. Nobody has figured out how to make more healthy years, at least not yet. So if 1 more year serves your plan, take it with our blessing, but just make it a decision, not a default. That's what we do at Covenant. Retirement, income, taxes, and investments planned as one, because that's how they actually work in real life. If you'd like to work with our team to help you retire, just type strategy session in the comments and we will send you a link for a no-cost strategy session with one of our certified financial planner professionals. And if Social Security is the thing keeping you on the payroll, watch this next, our video on 5 really good reasons to file for Social Security at 62. It might change your timeline. I'll see you there. Take care.